A lot of communities out there are exploring housing too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Find these spots.
Historically, you got some of those rural areas that are kind of against homes, but they need housing, and they require people to live in it. It's cost prohibitive.
So you're helping me city council just adopt.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of educational sessions with, and I've got a company that's based out of here. It's cheaper.
Who's your client?
We're on both sides. We're on both sides.
That's good. So Grandhaven is very scarce.
No, and it's just like that side of the state in general. It's not like cores, like Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo, Cabot Creek, like they are pretty conservative on the taxes. Like they already have pretty low tax bases. But I worked on this project last year in Middle Hole. That's in Berry County. It's by Hastings. And I mean, after I went to 8 meetings, they finally approved it. It's not even built. It's leased up because the need is so great.
What's the product gonna be?
Just push the housing.
I mean, the end class. Mid, mid and
Mid to high.
cost of construction there is not going to be much different than here.
I mean, we did a 15-year.
You did what?
15-year.
Oh, okay. And the tax basis. Oh yeah, I guess you could convince them. How many units?
144.
That's a nice.
Well, I mean, like the big push too. I mean, it's all built. That's why they came down here. But Bradford White's there. Oh no, it's so they can.
Could be worth it.
So it's like it's slowly taking off. But the education piece of like communities that would not historically look at.
Oh, maybe I should look at some property. I know what to do. Oh,
The west side of the state, I think, seems to be very relationship based. So if you know someone that's been out, that's probably the best kind of litmus test, I would think. Outside of like the development hurdles themselves.
So buying real estate, you would need someone local or someone with good relationships there to be part of it.
I think so. It's logistic helps. So
It's a good old boy network out there. They're all hardcore red. No, nothing wrong with it as long as you're doing what's right for everybody.
Not in like downtown. So communities
really?
have like a good, like so Hastings is, I think it might be the county seat of Berry County. They're pretty cool. But they're in the situation of like, they can only grow so far. They're not a township. So they kind of have to be smart about it.
What is the size population? Do you know? No, it can't be that big.
Okay.
Tonight? Yeah, good call. He's going to be there tonight.
I'm telling you, they're for a walkthrough. They had the last meeting. It's like, I'm getting there, but I was shocked. Like, are we going to have care?
Isn't that something?
St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, March 18, 2026 regular meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. First item is public comment. If anybody wishes to address, now would be the time. Please just wait till you're recognized. Who wants to go first? Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Frank Hobrecht, and I'm here to two items. We had a great parade on Saturday. I think we should have advertised it on the city's downtown page. People had asked about it. Nothing was mentioned. Fortunately, the weather cooperated. We had good attendance. I had nothing to do with it. I just enjoyed. It's a very family-friendly event. But we should advertise the good things. It was free, parking the decks. It was a great event. So we should do a better job of letting people know. But let me remind everyone here, I found some emails from 2016, 10 years to the date almost, that I started bringing up to the attention that we have a dirt alley behind 408 South Washington, the old Kresge's building. And that dirt is just a problem. We have standing water with the rain. There was a customer here 3 months ago that mentioned that he's in a walker and that he can't traverse the potholes and the ice. And I don't know why. We're spending $4.2 million 100 feet away, and why we can't pave this dirt alley. It's pretty simple. It's only 20 feet wide. The length of our building, 120 feet. Can't be a lot of money. Last year, we paid $67,497 in property taxes. That would pay for a dirt alley. The DDA, I've been told over and over again, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Mr. Sofia, we met on December 20th, 2024, along with Mr. Dunstan. Nothing's happened. I was told I got to pay special assessment, and I brought it to your attention that the alleys here east of Main Street were all paid for by the DDA. Everything gets paid for except our dirt alley. So it's March. We can get this thing done if we start it now. I realize there's some public improvements that have to be made, but it's a public alley, and we're asking for some public participation and payment for the pavement. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Mr. Harrison.
Thank you. Bill Harrison, downtown property owner. I'd like to address the agenda item 6C, the 5th and Lafayette project. What I propose is that the DDA pass a resolution to forego the TIF capture for 30% of the project cost based on the 30% of low-income housing for 20 years. This is consistent with the 20-year duration of the affordable housing. On the second page, there's a listing of the projected revenue for the downtown based on the new project. And it comes up to be a little more than $20,000 a year. But we don't have a grocery store. We don't have a furniture and home furnishing store. We don't have a hardware store for housekeeping supplies. And we don't have a drugstore for personal care products. So the number, instead of 20,000 a year plus, should be around 12,700. Now, the project team is offered to assist with the phase 2 of the 5th Street Plaza. Well, what does that mean? As far as parking is concerned, thank you. Let there be light. As far as parking is concerned, let's see, I lost my place with the lights coming on. Anyway, so the revenue would be in the neighborhood of 700,000 versus the 1.1 million projected. As far as parking is concerned, we've already given them 84 spaces, and there was a variance based on post-COVID utilization. We would hope that things would come back to prior to COVID. And remember that 85% occupancy, utilization of a parking structure is perceived as being full. So the variance for 84 spaces accounts to almost $3 million, $2.8 million we've already given. Over on the next page, the DDA would forego the future tax increment for 30 years. I guess I'm out. I suggest it should be the 20 years that the low-income housing. And just if you can bear with me, I want to remind you this is under the brownfield. My wife Laura, when she was a commissioner way back when, was the one that brought the brownfield authority to the commission, and it was finally passed. And the brownfield authority has been changed to not only recognize and that brownfield authority covers the entire city of Royal Oak, not just the downtown. And the brownfield authority has been expanded by the state of Michigan to include more than just remediation. And that's what we're talking about here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Anybody else want to address the board tonight? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Bring it back to the table. Next item is approval of the minutes for February 3rd, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Walker,
Second.
second by Director Grasso. Is there any questions or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Next item is expense items.
Mr. Chair, there was 2 sets of minutes posted.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to go back to item 3, and I will entertain a motion for the February 25th minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Director Walker.
Second.
Okay, second by Director Brown. Any discussion or changes? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, now we will move on to expense items. And I would ask if anybody has any questions for staff regarding these. And I'm not seeing any. So we will move on to presentation on parking system rollout.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I do want to let you know as I'm pulling this up that we did reach out to some of our colleagues from the city who were unavailable to join us today. But I was given this 9 slides that I'd like to go through with you today. So if you let me get to the top here. There we go. So you may recall we had a similar update last fall about the status of things then. So this is where we stand as of today. There's been several stages of this with the design, with the launch of Park Mobile, January, but we're currently at the far right here with the citations now being given out and enforcement, including it here at the Civic Center lot, and the removal of the equipment with the understanding that it has taken some time to get all of the equipment removed. Some of the proactive communications that occurred during the rollout included the This Week in Parking updates that were sent out through January, a dedicated web page, homepage slider, push notifications, etc. And additionally, tools were used including live Facebook and Instagram Ask Me Anything session run by Communications Director by Kara during January. And she received 135 questions and over 12,748 views with that. It's a pretty good following of that work. Within the first few weeks of the launch, there was a listening tool that was used looking at local news, public social media, blogs, and print sources. And what that found using the tool is audience sentiment broke down as follows: 24 being positive or very positive, 66% being neutral or passive, and 10% being negative. Interestingly, 0% very negative. That's always nice to see. And using the tool, the top 8 emotions, I won't read them all. I will say the top 3, caring, curiosity, and confusion. An interesting mix there. But as with anything new, any change, that it does take a period of adjustment for folks to get used to things. So lastly, from a communications perspective, we are rating the rollout as successful. That everyone's not going to be fully positive about what we're doing, but there have been proactive efforts undertaken to reduce confusion, answer questions, and get quality information out on behalf of the city. And really all of us are in that role where we can be brand advocates. So with that, that is the presentation.
Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Okay, so we will move on to business. Pilot Business Retention and Recruitment Fund. Mr. Kramer?
Yes, and while I set this up, I do want to offer, to the extent Julia would like to add some words, because I really have to give credit where credit's due, that most of this program was designed by Julia, and I think she did an excellent job on that. But having said that, big picture, we were asked 2 to 3 months ago to put together this fund to help with strengthening, attracting, and sustaining businesses within the downtown. So what we did was we evaluated the vacancies, we talked with business owners, and we wanted to come up with a program that was flexible for business needs, and even give them an opportunity to bring up needs that we might not have thought of, so that we could also give them a grant. And the structuring of the grant, which I'll lay out for you, we're offering up to $10,000 in cash and asking for a dollar for dollar match. But we are allowing, in situations where there's financial need, for up to half of that match being in kind. So the minimum amount of cash the business would put up is $5,000 to get $10,000 from us. It could be as much as a one-to-one grant with the business putting up $10,000 and getting $10,000 from us. So with that, I'll pause and defer to Julia if she has anything to add.
Yes, so as Mr. Kramer mentioned, in speaking with the various business owners throughout the 3 months that I've been here so far, a large pain point that we needed to address was providing support outside of the current offerings that we have. We have the facade and the mural grant programs, as well as our Downtown Dollars program. But really what some of our business owners, especially the ones that are struggling and need additional support, what they need is, money that they can spend more freely and make decisions based on their business needs. So it will be up to our board to determine and approve those applicants, but we wanted to make sure that they have this opportunity to access funding for additional support as needed. Any questions?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Buck.
Yeah, supportive of strategic investment for recruitment and retention and to support strength of our local businesses. I'm just curious, what are the kind of parameters are we talking about for the uses of these dollars? Because I do understand the programs we have on hand, but if we're looking for more flexibility, is it based on whatever they propose, and we interpret that and the value of that, or are there kind of different lanes that they might be making proposals in?
So on page 2 of the proposal, you'll see several different needs and service areas that they could use the funds for, but it ultimately will be up to the board to determine what is a fair use of the funding. So we'll have that ability to make those decisions with them. We've also talked about, as we build out the application process for this program, adding some of those parameters and asking some key questions such as annual revenue to make sure that they, are viable and they will, be sustainable, so that the money gets spent in a way that is truly not just going to benefit the business, but also the community, with the business that will stay hopefully open, and this will help them to continue to do so. So we'll continue to build out that structure and work with the board to determine what those parameters look like.
And if I could add to that and say thank you for the question, that some of the categories in the application as drafted and included in the package include marketing, support and programming, accounting and professional services, equipment and physical improvements, product and service expansion, a store within store and activation opportunities, sustainability and energy efficiency improvements, technology upgrades, retail incubator support, and finally other business needs, which can be a catch-all for things that might not be listed here. Though I think you'd probably agree that the list is fairly comprehensive, and it gives every opportunity for businesses to tell us exactly what they want and how they might utilize this money to the best advantage.
And one last question. So I see there's the last paragraph here about participating in, not just providing documentation of expenditures, the dollars used that they're used for, but also participating in follow-up reporting so that we can really measure the impact and the efficacy of the program. I'm wondering, are they going to be given some kind of formal structure to provide the benefit about their business once the program's up and running?
So I welcome the question. We don't have a formal evaluation built in quite yet, but I would certainly think some of the things we'd be looking at is how many businesses we open, as a result of this program. Secondly, we can look at our retention rate for those businesses that we help to fund. And I think there's probably some additional metrics we can get into utilizing some of the place-based analytics tools and others at our disposal to really see that the money is being put to good use. But if nothing else, over the last 6 months, I think the board has come to expect and hopefully appreciate that one of our go-tos is if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So we'll bring the measurements to you, and we will analyze the effectiveness of this and make improvements, as needed as we proceed.
Great, I appreciate it. I think the success of the program alone could be an attraction tool that we market when people are looking at our downtown. So those testimonials from business owners that have had a good experience with it, I think would be really important to the success. Thank you.
Yes.
If I can, sorry. I want to thank you for the proposal and thank you for the insight. I'm also supportive of this. In my former capacity in the chamber world, I was a part of a similar initiative that kind of mirrored this program. I appreciate seeing the eligible use of funds. I think something that could be considered as well is like ineligible use of funds. I think I've seen that before in terms of, again, I know we have to set the parameters, but payroll, different things around operations have come up before. I also think, again, this is a pilot program, but I believe in capturing those data points in order to, yes, help inform this table. But Isaac, I think it'll help in your continued work from an advocacy standpoint as you're engaging with, different entities at the county and state level, unlocking those grant dollars if we want to have some matching dollars moving forward if we deem this program to be successful. So just wanted to make those comments.
Thank you.
Director Yazbek.
Yes, I agree with everything, and I also want to emphasize that part of the impetus for seeking a program like this was recruitment, and I think we have to spend some time looking at what kind of businesses will have an impact on the downtown and create a situation where we're more of a destination and employing people and doing things to build the downtown. So recruitment's a big part of it, and I know in the business marketing committee when we discussed this, I suggested, and I don't know, I think maybe the other committee members agreed that since we're going to be spending some time discussing our budget and priorities, that this may be important enough to assign a higher dollar amount or a higher priority to it. So I don't know how that works. Do we keep it open, or can we discuss it when we discuss the budget? Can we just adopt the program and not necessarily assign a number, or we can modify the number? I'm not sure. But this sounds like an amazing program and something that's going to help the downtown quite a bit.
Okay. To answer your question, Director Yazbek, is we can come around budget time, we can have that discussion. Remember, this is only a pilot program right now, so there is room for, definitely room for development of this in terms of dollar amount and how far we want to go with it. So 2 other points, one being I think might be one thing that might be helpful as we develop this program is to maybe check with surrounding communities and see if they have similar programs, and then also what the county has to offer in terms of their grant programs and how they distribute those and what guidelines are potentially used for those. And then just the last thing is, we have those informational meetings twice a year, and those are based on what the goals and objectives of the DDA is, and this is definitely in our top list of things that programs that the DDA should and is working on. So I'm supportive of this program also. Director Duboc.
Yeah, I'm absolutely supportive. I would just say, in the spirit of a pilot, I think it's important to have parameters at the outset as far as what we're going to invest in the pilot, so we can learn what's working, what's not working. And then in year 2, where we've seen success, I think there is tremendous potential to expand this once we know what's working and what's not working. But when you're piloting it, like, some of these things are going to be a miss, and the more dollars you put in that pilot, the more you're going to spend on the misses. So I want to learn what works before we grow the
For sure.
But I think there's some flexibility in what year 1 is.
Okay.
Yeah, and it may take us some time to see the success, right? An investment, sometimes the lag measure comes 6 months down the road, so this will be an interesting year to see how this progresses. But as long as we have some key performance indicators, we know what success looks like, we can identify that and make sure that this is successful.
Okay. Do we have a suggested resolution on this? Okay. Motion by Director Duboc.
I'll support.
Supported by Director Van Ness. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item would be the West Street Playscape. You want to start us out, Mr. Kramer?
Happily, Mr. Chair. So I'm pleased to report, after some really extensive back and forth for members of the Infrastructure Committee, I think we spent close to an hour on this, and I want to thank each of you for that. We have come to a resolution which we call Option 5, which basically is a version that we've been looking at over time that incorporates some of that resident and neighborhood feedback, including for some of our under 12-year-old residents here in Royal Oak, who very much wanted a double slide as opposed to a single slide, which we are happy to bring forward. So the proposal before you reflects extensive interaction with the public, reaching back as far back as July last year, 79 survey responses. We've had follow-up discussions in public meetings, gone through several different options, and the community has even brainstormed some additional ideas of things that they'd like to see done. So what we're bringing forward to to you today, it does represent an additional $10,000 investment over the amount that we discussed at the infrastructure meeting last fall. So we're at $35,429.11. But what this will do is buy and install the playscape for what we're calling phase one of the project, which is basically to get the playscape in. But the chair was very clear when the infrastructure committee met with the community groups and residents that we are open to continuing discussion with them to really shape this space to what the community wants over time. So with that, we're asking your support to proceed with that $35,000 and option 5 as was presented.
Okay. Questions? Yes.
Not necessarily a question, just a statement. The infrastructure committee was committed to make sure we have something in place and get it done. And there was a commitment also to continue working with the community to enhance this. So that commitment is there. We all walked away feeling strong about we were hitting these objectives.
Yes, I will echo those comments also. Again, as you can see in the memo, this goes back to July of 2025 when we first started discussing this, and we did dedicate and budget for a certain amount of dollars a long time ago. And then as we got closer to the season and we were ready to move forward with it, we started to get, at that point, we started to get input from the surrounding community, which we didn't have before. And then based on the input that we got and discussions and the back and forth and the survey, and after a considerable amount of time, we came to this conclusion. But we also made a commitment to work with the neighborhood in terms of potentially increasing equipment or area or other improvements as we move forward in this project. But as Director LaGrasso said, we wanted to get something off the ground and ready to go because the equipment that's there right now is not functionable and even somewhat of a hazard at this point. So that's where we ended up for those who weren't part of the initial discussions. Okay, so we also, I will just add, that's how we came to increasing the budget or the request by the extra $10,000, and that's why we ended up with the numbers that we're at this point. So there is a suggested resolution on this matter. Mr. Van Ness.
I just have one quick question. Do we have any idea with regard to timing as to delivery installation?
Yes, I've been advised we could be looking at 2 to 3 months, but as of today, I've reached out to the supplier and I'm awaiting a response.
Thank you. I will move to adopt the resolution as written.
Motion by Director Van Ness.
Second.
As second by Director LaGrasso. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, Acori Group LLC, Lafayette and Fifth Street.
Mr. Chair, I'll set it up, but I'll also note in the audience today, we have Mr. Akuri and also one of his advisors, Ms. Master Gang who's joining us, who we might want to also give an opportunity to speak. So having said that, we have a proposal before us. This is one that's been reviewed at the Business and Marketing Committee, and it's structured similarly to the Champion deal, which this board previously reviewed and approved. I want to make a distinction. It's different from the Hazelton deal and the Trailhead deal, which were TIF reimbursements. Instead, they're asking for a percentage of capture, and this is run through the Brownfield Authority for a 30-year term. And that term, again, is very similar to the term of the Champion project, which this board approved in the last year. We estimate the tax increment revenue that we'd forego over a 30-year period to be approximately $4.1 million. What we get in place of that is the addition of some much-needed mixed-use housing. There will be 36 one-bedroom units, 18 two-bedroom units. Of the 54 total units, 16 of them will be workforce housing, so for people with 120% of area median income. I do want to address the public comment about the analysis of the spending per household based on a household tax of $43,008. Yes, well, we might have some gaps in the areas that the member of the public identified, such as a furniture and home furnishing store and a grocery store and some of the others. One of the reasons we might want to build a project like this is to support those types of sectors and businesses, so we can project future spending by household even if we don't currently have those businesses today. In fact, if we can tell future prospects that we're bringing in, X number of housing units and they're going to drive approximately $1.1 million of spending per year, that becomes a pretty powerful recruitment tool in our toolbox. So with that would be the top level. We've also had discussion about the electric lines needing to be buried and the additional expenditure that came from that. And also how for the phase 2 of the 5th Street Plaza improvement, which currently is not being funded, we're looking at how to get that done, that we may have an opportunity to collaborate on that too. With that, those would be my comments.
Okay. Before I bring this back to the table, did you want to address the board?
Sure, I can do so. I'm Elizabeth Masserang. I'm with SME. I'm a consultant to the developer. The one thing I just thought was worth mentioning as far as context goes is you might be familiar with the Brownfield Financing Act and that traditionally going towards reuse for urban infill and contaminated sites. It was recently in about 2023 that MISHDA on a statewide level recognized the dire need for housing and workforce housing specifically. And so it is utilizing the same mechanism as Brownfield TIF with a focus specific to support the workforce housing needs. In addition to being before you, assuming a request was able to move forward, we would continue to facilitate working with the Brownfield Authority specific on the details of the reimbursement and submit a formal Brownfield plan from there. So if there were questions as it relates to overall process, happy to also address those.
Does anybody have any questions? I just have one quick one. So if I remember right in previous discussions that we have, this is your first stop in going through the process?
Correct.
Okay. And after this, you'll be going through brownfield and
City.
planning and
Yep.
so forth?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Dunstan?
I'll move the resolution.
Okay. There's two there. Are you good with that?
Yep, I'll move both.
Okay. So I have a motion by Director Dunstan,
Support.
Supported by Director Brown. Discussion. Anybody? Yes, Mr. DeBuck.
I have a question for Mr. Kremer, actually. So I want to make sure I'm understanding this right. And there's the intersection between the brownfield and our not collecting on the tip. Are we forgiving for 30 years 100% of what we would have collected on the entire taxable value?
I want to answer that, but with the big proviso that I'm not an expert in tax policy or in brownfields. So with that, we're projecting to forego approximately $4.1 million of tax increment revenue. What I find helpful to remind people is that whenever a TIF district is created, we have this base year. And that's kind of the level that we're building on. And then you picture that upward trajectory when improvements are made, that increment, that's typically what we would capture, as a DDA, and we'd invest back into the district, which it helps to grow more and more over time. So I think it's safe to say that Royal Oak has done an exceptional job at growing that increment. With this project, though, I think we're asked to look at it with a slightly different filter because unlike others that we've done before, we're taking what is a fairly small parcel, about 0.2 acres if you look at it, and trying to bring in that mix of housing, that mixed-use activity to really finish off that block at the end of the street that we're working so hard to activate. So I think it requires us to suspend kind of our thinking of how a TIF usually functions, and then look at all the benefits that could potentially flow from this project, from the upgrade to the utilities, over half a mile of electric being buried, which incidentally will create some nice resilience and sustainability benefits, especially with major storms. Additionally, the plaza, and thirdly, the spending, the retail spending that was mentioned. And last but not least, we're offering, at least for 16 of those units, for people who work in Royal Oak to be able to live here too, which just seems like a good thing to do. So with all of that, yes, we are foregoing that $4.1 million over 30 years. It's projected, but on the other side of the ledger, I think some of those benefits that flow from this project, that it's a fairly equal balance from my perspective professionally.
Yeah, and I appreciate all that. And I'm not questioning the value of the project. I think that's readily apparent. I just want to go in clear-eyed about the dollars and cents of it. Forgiving what the value that we would capture on the new project, like if it's not there, that wouldn't be there anyway. So forgiving it's not a loss. But is there a current tax capture that we are foregoing? Like, is there a net loss to our revenue?
So I can answer that, and I see Elizabeth jumping up too. We do have the base level that would be sustained throughout the course of the project.
Okay, thank you.
We're foregoing the increment. Thank you. I apologize, Elizabeth. I hope I wasn't stealing your thunder at all.
No, that was my primary question, is just understanding the impact on the bottom line here. I mean, 0% of 0 is 0, so forgiving what we don't have right now is it's not a loss to our bottom line, but we get the great benefits of this project. So that makes sense to me.
I was looking for that same answer because the other type of TIF that we do is typically we retain 20%
Some
of
portion of it, yes.
Yes. So, but I don't think that's the case here.
And I guess the other question is this a model that we have used before, or are we
Just on the Champion project.
Okay.
That's the only one that I know of.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, you know of any other one that just the Champion was the first?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Just a procedural question, I guess. When the motion was made, it was mentioned that there were two.
I'm sorry, I was on the wrong page on my screen. So there's just one resolution here. Yeah, I was on the wrong page on my screen.
Okay.
Director Walker.
I also wanted to thank Mr. Corey and his team for coming in today, but I also wanted to state for the record, given the financial interest from the bearing of the new lines from a utility aspect, I'll have to abstain from this vote.
Director DeBuck, go.
I'm sorry, I forgot one more question.
Yes,
I know
please.
the resolution today is directing Mr. Kramer to bring back the request to approve. Is there a reason for the delay? Are there?
Yeah, I can tell you we have some internal discussion among city staff, which will occur, I believe, as soon as tomorrow, actually. And there is a formal drafted resolution which mirrors that for the Champion project. So we do have that drafted, but we are not prepared to bring that forward today. What we're asking instead is basically to empower me to work with my colleagues in the city to bring that forward to you at a future date.
Okay, so today is not official approval of the project, but a step forward.
Yes, you know what I think the DDA is trying to accomplish with this motion is to say that we agree in concept with the direction that you're going, come back to us with the final agreement, at which time we'll execute that. And, you know, really to align our efforts with the BRA, to align our efforts with planning, and of course with the city manager, with the mayor and commission as well.
Okay. And is the petitioners aware of that timeline?
The timeline has been evolving. We've all learned a lot throughout this process. So I know they'd like to have this done today, urgently, but we're making our best faith effort to move it along.
Mr. Chair.
May
Go
I
ahead, Mr.
respond?
Moore.
Forgive me. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you all for being here and also for your time and efforts you've put into the project. Just to keep it simple, as we would love to have the resolution that we've drafted, we provided with Isaac, which is really a mirror copy of that of Champion. While we would love for that to happen today. We also understand Mr. Kramer is directing the flow of this, and if he is asking to do it in a different way, I'm happy to oblige, but he is correct. It's an ever evolving timeline that we just found out. So, but again, thank you all for your time and your support.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. And let me just assure you or reaffirm, I think the DDA's position here is simply, it would not be proper for us to approve any contract that it hasn't, or agreement that hasn't been brought before us yet.
Correct.
So we need to see that document first, and as soon as we get it, we can process it and we can then act on it at that point. But it would be premature for us to do that today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, is there anything else? Did I get a second? I'm sorry. Director Brown? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Quick question.
Yes.
for the Petitioner. This is, I think I read, all the units are, the affordable units are 120% AMI. So as such, there's not going to be any ask for LIHTC credits or anything like that. So that's not a component, even though you still have to work with MSHDA on the affordable aspect. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next item is wayfinding signage. Mr. Kramer?
You got it. So we have discussed in the past, including at a committee meeting, actually 2 months prior, about the need to take a second look at the wayfinding in town and things that we can do to update it so that it can more effectively connect people with some of the incredible businesses and events, activities we have here. Right now, the heavy metal signage, it's very focused on parking. Though we need to remember, like when people see the sign, they've already gotten out of their car. So, you know, maybe we can reposition some of these panels, which are taller than most people, and have, you know, the attractive map showing different locations, a directory organized by category, highlighting, you know, some of the retailers, entertainment, restaurants, etc. So we went to the firm that did the initial design for our Wayfind, Ideation Orange, which at one time, interestingly, was located on 4th Street here in Royal Oak, though today in Hazel Park. WROK. And they offered to work with us over a period of several months to come up with a kind of refreshed approach for our wayfinding. So the request before you today is $10,750 for that process. And we complete most of the work within the next 2 months, with the goal having something that we could have installed by early summer. So with that, we'd urge you to move the resolution.
Okay. Any questions for staff here? Yes, Mr. DeBock.
Sorry, I'm a busybody today.
No, it's good.
Mr. Kramer, would, upon approval, when you start working with the contractor, would they bring back kind of concepts and designs, locations, before we move forward with committing to what they're proposing?
Yes, I fully assure the board that you'll be actively involved and updated throughout the course of the project, and we'll also seek to get some good community engagement, as part of this too, working with the businesses, working with some of our destinations to make sure whatever we bring forward really reflects, the best of Royal Oak.
I appreciate prioritizing this. Our wayfinding can always be better. We should always be revisiting it, so I'm happy to move for approval.
Okay, I got a motion by Director DeBuck, second by Director Dunstan.
I have a question.
Yes, Director Dunstan.
So it looks like this is just for them to do some exploration and come up with an estimate to complete the project, correct? From what I can see under project summary. So then they'll be coming back to us with an estimate for the actual implementation, producing the signage and installing it.
Right. So if you think about breaking the project up into a design phase and then an implementation phase, this is the design phase. This is doing asset gathering, interviews, site survey, schematic design development. 4 presentations they give to us with revisions between presentation 1 and 2. At presentation 3, they ask for schematic approval, and then a prototype creation and implementation estimating step. So we'll actually be able to see, a prototype that can go up and, how do we like it, how does it work, before the final presentation, number 4, which is the budget review. So it's a multi-step process. This is planning, this is design. At the end of it, we will be ready with a number for what it costs to implement.
I have a follow-up. For the infrastructure committee, do you think we could come up with a schedule, like maybe twice a year, the wayfindings reviewed, because things change pretty quickly? And that would include, if we end up putting a kiosk in the 5th Street area, it would include that. If you recall, in Eagle Plaza, we had a kiosk there that never got updated. And it just looked kind of crappy, it rusted out. So I think that maybe the infrastructure committee should be reviewing or set up a schedule to make sure everything's kept fresh on both the wayfinding and the kiosk.
Okay, I think we can make that happen. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. Mr. Kremer, if you'd be so kind, maybe after the meeting, you could point out to me, I'm having trouble locating this budget item.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's listed under something other than wayfinding. Maybe it is, and I don't need you to do it right now.
Sure.
That's something we can get together on. But I'm just, I'm not familiar with this budget item, and okay. All right, so if there's nothing further, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, social media contractor.
All right. Well, we're really moving through it. Our final two business items here. So I'm pleased to report after the last board meeting, we took the feedback that the board provided to heart and put together a selection committee that met and interviewed 3 finalists for the social media contractor. And I do want to take a moment and thank Directors Brown, Walker, and Dunstan for giving about 3 hours of their time for that on March 9th. And as a result of that, there really was one very clear finalist for us that we're bringing forward to recommend. And I will say, we did have some very good candidates to choose from them. Any one of them could have done an excellent job with the work. But what really stood out for me with the candidate that we selected is their depth of experience working with the social media, the strength of their analytics and their approach to measuring the impact of their campaigns. Though I think one of the secret factors, I think about Ms. Calugar's interview, is that some of the members of their staff live in Royal Oak. So I think that's invaluable because it means they really understand the community, they're rooted in it, and they're going to be able to hit the ground running and do some good work. So with that, we're bringing forward a proposal to you for $54,150 in year 1. And the firm is Atomic Honey based out of Detroit. And we would ask for support for the resolution.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Director Yazbek.
I didn't see the contract. Is the contract in here as an exhibit, or?
I haven't drafted the contract. It will be the standard city contract, similar for what was put out for the worry-free. And that's something that we've worked on administratively with the city attorney.
I noticed that this is a 3-year program. As we've discussed before, I think in different situations, and perhaps this situation, it's imperative that we have an out clause, a 90-day, at least a 90-day out clause for any reason. And if that's the case here, I fully support the resolution.
Yes, and I can verify that there is a very explicit out clause in the contract.
Director Dunstan.
I'll move the resolution.
Motion by Director Dunstan. Supported by Director DeBuck. Okay. Any further question?
I just want to say that just by coincidence, usually it doesn't work this way, but they ended up being the low bid with an asterisk there because the hours were a little bit lower than some of the higher bids, but the hourly rate seems to be less than the other options. And I won't speak for my 2 friends that were sat through those meetings, but they were very impressive, very, very impressive. And 2 of their staff live one lives downtown, one lives in Royal Oak.
Thank you. Director Walker.
I'll just add that I agree in terms of them being impressed by their presentation. I think that they can continue to highlight where we are, but I think what excited me the most is about what they can do for us moving forward. We talked about other social media channels that they had a lot of wealth and knowledge in, specifically one of them being TikTok and how that's used to get around a lot of locations. So I was really impressed by their analytics, by their staff, and again about what they've done in other communities across the state, and what that could mean for us here at Royal Oak.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll just mention that I think this is really important. I think there's been a little gap in what the DDA does and needs to do in this area. We've talked about this previously. We've had our executive director that's done the majority of our social media work, which has bogged that person down. and not give them enough time to do it the way it should be done correctly. So I think this is definitely the path to go on, and I hope we'll be able to move forward with this. Okay, that being said, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, last item, Throne and Centennial Commons.
All right, so the Throne, as many of us are aware, it started as a pilot project of the cities where multiple were deployed. Subsequently, there was a shift in the locations last fall, and interestingly, the current location in the Commons isn't far off from where a permanent bathroom was proposed, a permanent restroom facility was proposed when Centennial Commons was first built. In fact, I've been told by many people there is infrastructure underground almost to the precise spot. So in discussing this at the infrastructure team, the request from the city, to be clear, is that they're asking for the DDA to fund the Throne in Centennial Commons, none of the others. And when we discussed this in the infrastructure committee meeting, the sense of the committee was that, well, you know, the Throne is a useful thing that many people have taken advantage of, and, you know, certainly it's helped, you know, having it there, that we would like to, really on a parallel track, explore a permanent restroom facility. Now, that conversation becomes interesting. I've heard prices anywhere from $500,000 to over $2 million, depending on all the bells and whistles. And as we know and we've learned from recent experience, construction is not getting cheaper, nor is the maintenance of it, frankly, or utilities for that matter. So with that, what we're asking for is support for the Throne in Centennial Commons while we explore those options of a permanent facility. And I have been told by the company which provides the Throne that we could look at tiers of 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, and the pricing is about the same for each, $18,000, $36,000, and $72,000 respectively. So really what we're looking for is a sense of the board if this is something we'd like to do. And in that case, should you, then we'd ask you to move the motion. 2 motions.
Okay, questions first. Director Dunstan.
So is there right now, is there a contract with the city for the 3 Thrones? And we're putting in money for the Throne in Centennial Commons?
Correct. So the city is backing out of the pilot project, their initial commitment, which at this point, I think it's reached close to $145,000 for the 3 Thrones. And they're asking for the DDA from this point forward to assume responsibility for the cost of the Throne in Centennial Commons. Further, I'd add that should we not come to this agreement, on March 20th is when it's slated to be removed. Now, could it return at a future date? Potentially. But one of the things we're sensitive about is the public has become accustomed to having it available. Some of the events that are utilizing the Commons are expecting to have it available during their events, like the concert series and others. And so, you know, we want to obviously limit disruption, but, you know, the most important thing is for this board to take a look at it and let the city know, you know, our sense if, you know, this is something we would like to support or not.
So just so I understand though, so will we have our own separate contract with Throne for the one in the park?
Yes, it would be a separate contract between the DDA and Throne.
Okay, so in that, the length of that contract would be 3, 6, or 9 months?
We could do 3, 6, or 12, but
Or
I'm
12.
sure any variation they'd probably entertain because the pricing level for each tier is stable. It's $6,000 a month.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if we should see a contract before we, I mean, we could approve 3 months, see a contract from Throne, and then extend it. But I'd like to see, I think I'd like to see what our obligation is. And after 12 months, is it going to go to $12,000 a month?
I think the response I'd have for that is there was a proposal that I believe was included in the package from Throne. Yes, it says Throne Labs. And it does lay out the pricing of $6,000 a month, which can be seen here.
Right.
So, and I'd only add to that, like a standard process, whenever we enter into contracts, that it is something that's reviewed by city attorney. And I have also, shared contracts with the board. So if it's possible, I think my advice would be to separate, the need to see and review a contract from making that funding commitment, and even a 3-month funding commitment were that made today. I think we can go to Throne and work with our partner with the city to come to some terms, and of course report back whatever we come up with to the board.
So we're looking at the scrub.
The $6,000 option, actually I believe it's the hub. The scrub is $8,000 with 3 to 4 cleans per day. Ours would be 2 to 3 cleans per day.
Okay.
Dr. Yazbek.
Just out of curiosity, I really don't know, what's the approximate cost of a porta potty to be in the park monthly?
I haven't priced one in Michigan, but I can tell you it can range from several $100s on up. I would make the distinction, though, we probably wouldn't put a porta potty in because it tends to, everything around it is not as desirable, and the commons is a pretty small space. So yes, it would be a factor quite a bit less expensive, but I would not advise putting a porta potty in the center of the commons where we presently have the throne.
Dr. Yazbek.
I agree that it should be a temporary solution, and the resolution suggests that we should look for a permanent bathroom facility. I would modify that to say that the infrastructure committee should work toward the establishment of a permanent bathroom facility. I don't know if that's the spirit of the resolution, but I would make it clear that the infrastructure committee is supposed to focus on that.
Sure, that's happy to accept that, and I'd insert that between concurrently and working. So concurrently, the infrastructure committee will work on and then continue with the resolution.
Yes, Dr. Brown.
Hi, I just have a comment. I don't know if any other directors have had the opportunity to make use of any of these places, but it's much nicer than a porta potty. I will not use a porta potty. My son will not use a porta potty. I have worked events in Centennial Commons in the summer when it's really, really hot. It's very well used. You really have to keep your eye on it to get in there when it's available. And when you're working all day in the sun, it's also air conditioned, so you get a reprieve. And you don't have, it's completely hands-free. You don't touch anything. So it's nowhere near comparable to porta potty. I support looking into maintaining this until we have something more permanent.
Yeah, and it's handicap accessible too. Director Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry, Director DeBuck.
So in our conversation infrastructure, yeah, I strongly agree that this is a good temporary solution, but that providing restroom facilities is a basic public function, and I think we do need to prioritize figuring out a permanent solution for this space. But until then, definitely much better than a porta potty. I think those we'd be paying for them; they'd be much less used and a nuisance in the park. So it's a high price tag, but it is a basic function because if you're not providing it, folks are gonna find their own way.
I agree. My only confusion is looking at this chart. Why are we looking at July through December?
Mr. Chair, that's the usage data for those months since the throne first was put in through December when I last pulled the data. We probably have additional data for January and February, which I haven't included.
Okay,
but basically
you
that's
said
the
it
use
was
today.
still there. That's why I wondered.
And I can tell you, just so there's no mystery, that as you'd expect, January and February were slower months. But I think it does back up, the comment which was made a few previously, that the uses per month were highest in the months of July and August when we had our major events.
So the expenditure required, the 72, includes how many months?
12.
12 months. It's a lot of usage in December.
Ice skating.
Yeah. I guess so.
John Witz could use this to support his rink request.
Director Van Ness.
Is the chart showing the usage data and cost per month and everything for all three that were in the pilot program, or is this just the Centennial Commons location?
My recollection is this is for Centennial Commons only.
Is there a reason why? I guess I'm just confused as why is it different? Yeah, why was it so much more expensive per month?
There was an escalator in the original pilot project. So what we've been quoted, I think, reflects their stable pricing. So I don't believe we'd have a similar escalator moving forward. Though I would offer to the board, there probably is some wisdom in locking in pricing for the greatest duration, which you have an appetite to support, whether that be the 6 or 12 months. Should we do a 3-month contract, they could come back to us asking for more. I just highlight that.
Are the other two going away, or is the city maintaining them?
One of them is definitively going away. The second, which is by the transit station on Washington, we're attempting to find a way to fund it, but I'm not certain if that commitment has come through yet. So,
Okay.
But that's kind of an active and ongoing discussion.
Thank you.
And these prices are all inclusive in terms of the maintenance and so forth?
Correct. And I neglected to mention, Mr. Chair, that there's also an opportunity for us to do a custom wrap on the outside of the throne. And I think for the DDA, that provides a valuable opportunity for us to get our branding out there, even do some wayfinding, maybe highlighting some of the upcoming concerts and events that are happening, et cetera. So I would recommend, I know there's a motion to also do the custom wrap. So I would recommend that too.
Director Yazbek?
I'm going to make a motion to approve a 3-month contract with Throne with the proviso that the infrastructure committee hurriedly starts seeking a permanent solution for the bathroom requirements in Centennial Commons.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Yazbek.
I'll second.
Second by Director Dunstan. Comments?
I got one. I just want to be sure that we're being charged $6,000 a month, not $6,000 a month plus usage. And I think we need to probably see that on ink.
Yeah, I will verify that,
Yeah.
but my understanding is it's $6,000 a month flat.
Okay. I'd like to ask Director Yazbek, what's the reasoning behind the 3-month contract as opposed to?
It was mentioned at the table, and it sounded like it made sense, and we can make sure we're happy with the continued usage and very easy to come back and extend it further.
Director Dunstan.
I mean, the 3 months, I mean, if Isaac, you come back next meeting with a contract that's gone through the committee, everyone's happy with, we can, at that time, say, okay, let's do it for 12, or extend it another 9.
Yeah.
I just want to, really see it to understand it.
Understood.
Yep. Okay. Yes, Director Dubois.
And just so long as a shortened contract doesn't increase the monthly price. I don't know if there's something on there.
He already stated that it's about the same.
Okay. Good.
Well, actually, okay. That's fine.
I mean, it is of note that the pricing quoted is only good for 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if a 3-month contract is
in our best interest, but if that's an option to be a little longer once we see the contract, I'd like to entertain that.
I think that's probably
we're
our best
not gonna-
approach at this point, what Director Dunstan said.
Yeah, we're not gonna get a permanent bathroom structured this year.
No, and that
Right,
was,
so
that
why
was
are we
discussed
only
at the
doing 3
infrastructure
months?
committee.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why we're even taking on this project right now, is because we know we won't have it this year, so. But I agree with Director Dunstan that once we see the contract, if we feel it's better to extend the contract for a longer period of time, I'm sure we'll have the ability to do that.
Good.
Director DeBuck, did you have anything? I'm sorry. I thought I saw. Oh, I was Director.
Yeah,
Walker.
I'm okay with the 3 months as well, just to see things, but I'm also thinking about, again, understanding whatever we decide is still going to take time to be erected, so we'll have to continue to have some sort of structure to continue to meet the, the public interest. But the other thing that I was thinking about, I'm wondering within the 3 months if we'll, again, it's purely hypothetical, but I'm wondering if we'll have better insight into that permanent structure from a timeline standpoint that'll help us to better make an informed decision moving forward as we're talking about contracts. I don't know, but that's why I would at least be open to it.
Mr. Chair, there will be a memo for the infrastructure committee, so the board will also see this next time we meet.
Okay. We did, Director Walker, just so you know, there was a preliminary plan for a permanent structure at one point, and there was a plan for one in the corner of the farmer's market. So I'm thinking there's some plans out there somewhere. We just got to dig them up.
Will do.
Okay, is there anything else? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just down to reports.
And Mr. Chair, we can decide whether to go in depth on any of the reports, but I'd also be happy to submit them as written, whatever direction you have.
Did anybody get a chance to look these over? Is there any questions at this time?
Just a quick question for me.
Sure.
I was just looking at the vacant properties. I believe the last submission at the last monthly meeting was 54. Are we still around that number? Has anything changed with that number?
Regrettably, we are now at 55, I believe, that we have the news of a business closing. Ms. Caliagar?
Yes, so with the addition of 2 business closures that we anticipate coming vacant very soon, we've added those preliminarily so that we can start to show them off and get them filled as soon as possible, so that brought that number up.
Got it. One more question. Do we ever think about the new businesses that are coming online? Like I just walked past, I think, a new coffee shop that's...
Yeah, that is Melt and Dip.
Yes.
We're very excited to see them filled. I've already
You and me
visited
both.
them 3 times, so very glad to have them. They opened just last week, so definitely excited to see 505 South Main get that filling.
Just kind of an aside, have you, either of you had an opportunity to see or talk to the gentleman who's putting in the coffee shop on Washington next to Cafe Muse?
I have tried. I have not yet connected with them, but I
I've
look
tried a
forward
few
to
times
doing
too and
so.
haven't caught him again, but okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
we'll definitely make that a point to get that done very soon. I am excited to say that Melt and Dip actually reached out to us, so I look forward to connecting with them and seeing how we can support them.
Okay. And Fifth Street's already underway. Director Yazbek.
About that. We had a nice meeting, and I thank the executive director and Julia for putting that together. One of the things that were mentioned by the contractor is that he does have the people in place to work on a permanent platform or stage for the street. And I continue to hear from comments from people that is, in their opinion, a critical aspect. It's, also my opinion, for what we're doing, activation of that street. There was at one point on the agenda, and we removed it at that time, a suggestion that myself and I think Director Van Est, along with Mr. Kramer, could start looking into or pursuing a design or pursuing a path for the board to consider that as part of the project. And I would just like the board's blessing to be able to, revisit that and get together and include the contractor in what he thinks might be a good path to put something together for the board's consideration. Sooner than later, because as we've heard many times, time is money when it comes to construction. If everybody's on site, it might be an opportune time to pursue it.
Mr. Chair, if I could offer, I would be more than happy to accept that invitation with Directors Van Est and Yesbeck. I would ask, though, with the meeting with the contractor, let's get our internal house in order, get our ducks in a row before we bring him in, because those are billable hours for us, because it is outside our current scope. But I do want to bring him in, but it may be he's not the one to execute on this while he's executing on the current project.
I don't know that, I think value engineering, they're out on site. I don't see the harm in it, but whatever path we have to take, but we can consider, when appropriate time is to consult with him.
Okay. Comments? I would only say I support what you're trying to do. And I think as long as we go through our normal process of allowing you to gather all the information and data and bring it before infrastructure and have them take a look at it first, and then it'll make its way to the table. And I think if we just follow that procedure, that'd be fine. It would be fine with me, personally. Okay, any other comments?
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Tony, I can ask this to you as well, but I'll ask it to Isaac and Julia. Just wondering about communications to businesses in that area around the impact of construction. Again, I was just looking at the Facebook page, and one of the things that was highlighted was the Run Club that meets there on Monday, right? I always say that I'm a part of it. Close to 200 people go to O'Toole's. Again, that's being displaced. Thinking about them, but also others, especially as we're going into busy season. Just wondering what communication or outreach has been done. Just creating awareness about, hey, construction's going to be taking place. Here's the window we're looking at, and here's potentially how your patrons may be impacted. But here are also alternatives that you may want to consider as you're continuing to get traffic through those through that area.
So I will offer that this is the most recent update that's been circulated, and I brought several copies, which I'll share with the board. So the short answer is yes. Businesses are getting regular, even daily visits, and we're actively troubleshooting issues as they come up, including today. I think I was on site 4 times. But I did want to thank Ms. Kalyagar for her assistance with putting that communication together, and for also being part of our team to reach out and answer those questions, respond to those issues as they come up. So we're actively doing that. And yes, while there will be some displacement, that we're trying to minimize that to the greatest extent possible.
Director Johnson.
Regarding the Fifth Street project, I noticed that the construction company is using the only ADA spots in that triangle lot on Center for their staging. Is there any way the city could create some temporary ADA spots?
Yes, it's an active agenda item, and I am reaching out to provide for that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Director Yasbeck.
Motion to adjourn.
Before I entertain a motion to adjourn,
yes,
I just want to double check with Mr. Kramer. Did you have anything in your reports that you felt like you needed to bring forward tonight?
Just so it's in the interest of the board, and I did have a question today. Regretfully, we didn't get the funding from Oakland County through the transportation program. I was also asked if there were additional Oakland County grants were being considered for or received on the Fifth Street project. The answer is no. We do have one outstanding grant with General Motors. I do want to highlight also really the great success with Restaurant Week. I will be bringing the final report forward to you shortly, but for the 21 businesses participating, overwhelming majority of them reported an increase in sales. Over 80 to 90% of the gift cards were redeemed of the 100,000 that was put out. And for many businesses, they said it was an infusion at a time that they needed it most. And I want to highlight also that while we're discussing the items on the agenda, there's always a number of things in the works. You'll see it in the report. But I'm particularly proud and also grateful for the strong work that's been put out by Ms. Calliagar over the last month, but also from each of you. And I do like to end the meetings, Mr. Chairman, by saying that, you know, of the 454 volunteer hours from each of you through the end of January, we've brought in 15,803 of in-kind contributions worth on average $831 of each of your time. And for that, we thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Anybody on the board have anything they want to bring to the table? Seeing none,
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Director Yazbek.
Second.
Second by Director Legasso. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes, and we are officially adjourned.